The New York Yankees are coming off an embarrassing World Series loss to the Los Angeles Dodgers, where they went just 1-4 on their way to failing to win a World Series in their 15th season in a row. And it's time to be realistic with what this team is. The New York Yankees used to be the biggest dynasty in sports, but over the last 15 years, they're tied in last place in Major League Baseball in rings with 0. Teams like the Washington Nationals, Kansas City Royals, and even the Texas Rangers have had more success in achieving the ultimate goal over the past decade and a half. But fans still feel like every season is World Series or bust. Juan Soto is officially heading into free agency, and with the Yankees owner saying that consistently fielding a $300 million payroll is impossible, it seems like the Yankees are either going to have to keep one of the best players in baseball and do nothing else, or let him walk and try to retool for 2025. The New York Yankees were once MLB's biggest, baddest franchise, but now they are starting to look more and more like just a regular one of MLB's 30 teams. The Yankees just got dominated in the World Series. There's no other way to put it. Some of the games, most of the games actually, were close. They could have easily won Game 1 if it wasn't for Aaron Boone making a mental mistake and bringing in a starting pitcher that hadn't pitched in over a month in with the bases loaded to face Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman. Freeman obviously then hit the first ever walk-off grand slam in World Series history. That game could have been won, and they were 1 out away from winning that game. Game 2 was almost the exact opposite for the Los Angeles Dodgers, as the Yankees had the bases loaded with a chance to hit a go-ahead home run in the 9th inning, but they used pinch hitter Jose Trevino to weakly fly out to the outfield to end that game. Using Jose Trevino as a pinch hitter in the 9th inning with 2 outs is just part of the issue that I'm going to get into later in this video. Game 3 was also won by a score of 4-2 Los Angeles, and this made the series a 3-0 deficit for the New York Yankees. Then after going down 2-0 in the first inning of Game 4, they did end up scoring 11 runs and winning that game, forcing a Game 5. However, the Dodgers used literally no Major League caliber pitchers in that game and were obviously punting it so that they could have their bullpen ready for Game 5, and that's exactly what they did. However, with Jack Flaherty getting rocked to begin this game, the New York Yankees had a 5-0 lead going into the 5th inning with Garrett Cole pitching a no-hitter, and that's when the New York Yankees played New York Yankee baseball, according to Joe Kelly. The Yankees gave up 5 unearned runs after Kike Hernandez broke up the no-hitter with a single. Aaron Judge dropped the ball that was directly in his glove. Then on a routine ground ball to Anthony Volpe, he decided to throw to third base instead of getting the easy force out at second base. Jazz Chisholm Jr. couldn't scoop it because he's not a third baseman, even though the force out was not necessary because they were up 5 runs. Then with the bases loaded, Cole struck out 2 in a row, and Yankee fans were like, okay, we're finally about to have something here. But nope, a weak ground ball to the first baseman, Rizzo doesn't charge it, Cole doesn't cover first base, and like that, Mookie Betts is safe at first. Then the next batter, Freddie Freeman, gets a 2-run RBI single with the bases loaded, and then the next batter, Teoscar Hernandez, hits a 2-run double to tie up the game. After that, the Yankees do not bring in their closer in the 8th inning after bringing him in with 0 outs later after Tommy Kahnle loads the bases without getting 1 out, which if you're gonna have Weaver grow 6 outs anyway, he should have just started the 8th inning. Regardless, the Dodgers lose, and the New York Yankees play New York, New York by Frank Sinatra on the field while the Los Angeles Dodgers pop champagne and celebrate. Wow, this is just, if you told your grandparents, your great-grandfather about the current state of the New York Yankees, he would be so disgusted. I am sorry to every former Yankees fan who is no longer with us because they would not have lived with this. Either way, the New York Yankees got absolutely embarrassed. The Los Angeles Dodgers were the better baseball team, and they won the World Series easily. The Dodgers said that they were excited going into this series. Joel Sherman, who is a writer for the New York Post, basically just said that the Dodgers were excited to play this series because the Yankees do not know how to play baseball. The Yankees know how to out-talent people. They do not know how to out-baseball people. Aaron Judge can hit a baseball further than anyone, except maybe his teammate Giancarlo Stanton, who literally is an all-time powerful hitter. Judge hits 60 home runs in the regular season, but can't hit in the postseason. They are one of the most talented rosters constructed in the league right now. However, the way that they play baseball is not sustainable and not a way that wins postseason series. And because of that, over their past 6 playoff runs, they are 0-6 against teams not from the AL Central and 6-0 against teams in the AL Central. The AL Central, if you do not know, they're almost always the worst teams that make the playoffs. If the New York Yankees are playing teams that are not in the AL Central, they have not won one series in their last 6 postseasons. Either way, going back to what the Dodgers were saying, they said that they were the worst base running team in the league. They make tons of outs on the bases, and they just don't take aggressive leads. And they were very happy with this because Gavin Lux just isn't that great at turning plays at second base since he was a former shortstop. However, the Yankees don't make aggressive leads, so it's a lot easier for you to turn that double play because you have more time. They also said that they are the worst positioned outfield in Major League Baseball, which with the RBI double from Teoscar Hernandez, you can kind of see that Judge was playing him opposite field, and if he was playing him even upright, he probably catches that ball and the Yankees probably win that game and are on a flight right now to Los Angeles. However, they don't know how to play fundamental baseball, so they're sitting at home. Joe Kelly after the game said that this is just Yankee baseball, and if they put the ball in play, the Yankees would just end up beating themselves because that's just what they do. And it is absurd to hear teams talk about the New York Yankees like this. We're not talking about the Colorado Rockies here. We are talking about the New York Yankees, who are unable to win baseball games by playing baseball. It's just not how it works. They just don't have the same feel to them anymore. They can't outspend everyone. They don't even outspend their little brothers, the New York Mets, who, by the way, won more games against the Dodgers than they did. They used to be able to outspend everyone, and because of that, they out-talented everyone. Now, all the teams are talented, and everyone can spend money. So simply spending money on the wrong places doesn't work anymore, and they haven't been able to move on from that philosophy, and it's why they continue to lose in these big playoff series. Now, a big part of this is Hal Stenenbrenner, who is the current owner of the New York Yankees and is the son of George, the former owner, said that spending $300 million on payroll is not sustainable long term. Although, in 2024, the New York Yankees generated $800 million in revenue, so they're not even spending half of what they make, so realistically, they could spend more than $300 or $300 exactly if they really wanted to. They don't want to, so they're saying that they can't. But realistically, they can. And while I'm at this, fans need to stop saying if George was alive, this would be different. I'm sorry, he's not alive anymore, and he hasn't been for a while. It's just not gonna happen. It's not how Hal runs his team. And with that, the Yankees are now in a horrible spot where they need to decide between Juan Soto or making their team better. Gleyber Torres, Alex Verdugo, Clay Holmes, Tim Hill, and Juan Soto are all free agents. Some of those players did not play very well. However, some of them did and are integral parts of this franchise. With Clay Holmes being removed, you're gonna need to replace him. And yes, they have been able to find pitching basically out of nowhere. Luke Weaver is a perfect example. They literally turned this guy into a superstar closer out of thin air. It's crazy what Matt Blake can do. Either way, apart from that, even if you're not going to have Alex Verdugo, who, by the way, was horrible in his only season with the New York Yankees, they're going to have to replace him and find a starting outfielder. And that might be Jason Dominguez, sure, but if they just bring back Juan Soto, and they pay him $45 million, they are already going to be at $290 million without bringing back Gleyber Torres, without bringing back any of their relievers, and they are in a bad spot. And if they don't bring back Juan Soto, they're in an even worse spot. So they're already gonna have a worse team next year, and their stars are just getting older, and they don't have that many prospects on the horizon. They refuse to be wrong with trades. Clay Holmes was blowing game after game after game in the middle of this season, But instead of going out and getting a closer, Brian Cashman and the New York Yankees said that Clay Holmes is the best reliever in baseball, and they believe in this guy. They just continue to do things that other teams would not do that don't work. Another little nitpicky thing here, they gotta get rid of those dumb policies. I'm sorry, you guys are not that special anymore to be not allowing your players to have a beard. Just let them have a beard. You're not winning every single year. You're not that much more special than everyone else. You're not God's gift to planet Earth anymore as a franchise in MLB. Let your players have a beard. That's just a little tangent. Also, the numbers. The numbers are crazy to me. How does Anthony Volpe have number 11? You gave Anthony Volpe number 11 before he did anything in that franchise. But you gave Jason Dominguez 89, and I think you give Oswaldo Cabrera 95. Anthony Volpe has not been good over his first 300 games in Major League Baseball. He's been a good defender, but the New York Yankees organization for some reason crowned him as the next Derek Jeter. So they gave him number 11, which is one of the only good baseball numbers left in that entire organization, and now refuse to hold him accountable for any of his failures that he makes. If he makes a mistake, oh well, he's the next Jeter, he'll figure it out. They pick and choose what players they think are going to be their next stars and which ones aren't. And if you're not, you're just not going to be. I just mentioned Jason Dominguez. They kept Dominguez when he was healthy in AAA until like a week and a half left in the regular season. And then instead of starting him every single day to get him ready for the playoffs, they continued to start Alex Verdugo. And then when they did start Dominguez, they played him in left field, a position that he hasn't really played in the minor leagues. He made a couple of errors because he's never really played left field. And left field at Yankee Stadium is pretty hard because of how many decks there are. It's pretty hard with the wind and everything at Yankee Stadium. And he dropped a couple of fly balls. And because of that, the Yankees didn't feel comfortable playing him in the playoffs, and they started Alex Verdugo, who was horrible the entire season, one of the worst hitters in baseball, but they just wanted to keep him in AAA just so that they could not be wrong with the Alex Verdugo trade. They ended up being wrong with the Alex Verdugo trade, and it costed them in the playoffs. Everyone knew the whole season that that was bad. And then there's just so many bad contracts. I mean, they just signed the wrong players. Carlos Rodon, horrible contract. Marcus Stroman, he didn't pitch one inning in the postseason. You signed him last year to a big contract, and you just don't even have him pitch. It's crazy. DJ LeMahieu you didn't have on the postseason roster because he was injured, and I say injured with quotations because it was probably a phantom IL because he was horrible all year. And you know they're not cutting him, you know they're not trading him, you know he'll be back to starting next year, probably at second base replacing Gleyber Torres, and getting significantly worse. It's been said for a couple of years now that they don't teach situational hitting in the minor leagues, which obviously is an issue. You need to know how to hit in baseball, not just how to hit home runs, but you need to know how to do things and when to do them in baseball. And the Yankees don't teach it in the minor leagues because they think they're better than that for some reason. The last two things I'm going to say is, first off, these Nestor Cortez quotes. I don't know if you remember, about 4 months ago during the All-Star break, Nestor Cortez said something along the lines of that the Yankees were better than everyone else. He said, everyone talks down about the Yankees, but they want to be us. It's a privilege to wear pinstripes. Every year we are in contention. I'm blessed to be able to compete for a playoff spot and always be contenders at the end. I understand where he's coming from. Starting out by saying everyone wants to be us is ridiculous. There are 8 or 9 teams that have won since the Yankees have won last. That is a third of Major League Baseball almost, and it might be a third. I know that there's only a couple of repeat winners. Why would the San Francisco Giants want to be the New York Yankees? They won in 2010, 2012, and 2014, which is 3 more World Series than the Yankees have over that time period. Along with that, the Yankees have spent a hell of a lot more money than the Giants have. So why would fans of the Giants want to be the Yankees when the Giants have had more success? Why would ownership of the Giants want to be the New York Yankees when they have had more success and spent less money doing it? Why would the players of the San Francisco Giants want to be New York Yankees when they have had more success than the New York Yankees players have? Just saying that because you're wearing pinstripes, everyone wants to be you is a crazy out of date take. You are not the best team in the league anymore. It is not a thing that everyone wants to be a New York Yankee anymore. It's just out of touch, and this is a whole organization thing. Fans are on the same wavelength for the New York Yankees. I'm sorry, fans, you need to stop thinking that every season that you don't win a World Series is a failure. It's been 15 years. You made the World Series for the first time in 15 years. I know that it's disappointing to lose. You don't need to be Derek Jeter. You don't need to say every loss, how can I rank the losses? How can I rank the losses? You're not Derek Jeter, you're a fan. It is a success to watch your team go deep into October. It just is. It's not the ultimate goal. Yes, your organization is failing, but you as a fan are not failing. You need to be able to watch a series and go, wow, that we didn't win, but it's pretty cool that we made it to the World Series anyway. It's not an absolute failure. And also, on the topic of fans booing Shohei's injury at that bar can't happen. And the fans trying to rip Mookie Betts' arm off while ripping the glove out of his hand really can't happen. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen on a baseball stadium. Either way, this team is just not what it used to be, and the quicker people can start to accept that as fans and ownership, the sooner they can be successful again.